Overnight, and as of 2 o'clock in the morning, Danny had strengthened enough to become the second Atlantic hurricane of the season. If you remember, the first one was Bill just a few days ago in the Atlantic. Danny, of course, is in the north-central Gulf of Mexico. Let's take a look at the latest coordinates concerning Hurricane Danny. This is the 4 a.m. Central Time position at 29.5 north, 89.8 west. That puts the eye of the hurricane 40 miles or so south-southeast of New Orleans. Maximum sustained winds are at 75, so it's a minimal hurricane, and the steering currents remain weak, so Danny is drifting, basically. Main direction, though, is north-northeast, less than 5 miles an hour, let's say. And the pressure has fallen a bit since the last report, now standing at 29.21 inches of mercury, 989 millibars. Now, we have a couple of live reports for you this morning. Actually, we're going to get to those in a second, but we have some video, first of all. And, you know, Hurricane Danny is certainly making its presence felt in Grand Isle, Louisiana. Overnight, the island just along the coast reported sustained winds as high as 80 miles an hour, and wind gusts around 4 a.m. were 95 miles per hour. Evacuations began there yesterday. However, the police chief says that some residents are just choosing to stay and ride out the storm in Grand Isle, and officials are worried that they could be trapped there if the roads flood. Latest observation from Grand Isle is a west-northwest wind, 60 miles an hour or so, gusts to about 75 to 76. That indicates the center has passed east-northeast of Grand Isle, Louisiana. All right, again, we've got a couple live reports. Our first one is with Kristen Dodd in Venice, Louisiana. Good morning to you, Kristen. What's going on?
What?
All right. Hopefully we'll get to Jim Cantori here in a second. Let's talk about the hurricane warnings there along the Gulf Coast from Morgan City, Louisiana, all the way to Destin, Florida. And just a reminder for those of you along the Gulf Coast, hurricane warnings are issued when hurricane conditions are expected in 24 hours or less. And along the southeast Louisiana coast, some of you have been seeing those hurricane conditions the last few hours. Winds of 74 miles per hour or greater, torrential rain, and dangerous high tides and seas. And of course, common sense dictates that actions to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. All right, now we have a live report. This time we're going to go to Jim Cantori. He's along the beaches in southern Mississippi. I believe you're in the vicinity of Gulfport, Jim. What's happening there?
Yeah, Rick, good morning, everyone. I am right east of what we call Little Las Vegas here. If you look behind me, you can see some of the lights to some of the casinos, which are just down the road. But I am right on the beach here at Gulfport, standing in the face of probably close to tropical storm sustained winds coming out of the east-southeast. So it's really blowing here, no doubt. Amazingly enough, this storm is only about 50 miles offshore, the center, and we've only had a couple of squalls move through here. So it's been very dry so far, but I would imagine as the center inches closer, some of those rain squalls will come on through. But the folks here, Rick, from what I've heard this morning, are just kind of, oh, it's a hurricane now, and there's really not a sense of what's going on. But I guess the good news is it is a minimal hurricane, at least at this point. Back to you.
Much, Jim. We'll check back with you once more at the top of the hour. Let's talk about the winds around Hurricane Danny. Actually, the hurricane force winds are just in a very small area near the center of circulation, mainly east of the center, out to about 25 miles east of the eye. That's between the eye wall, 25 miles east of the eye. That's where the strongest winds are located. And tropical storm force winds, I should say, extend as far as 115 miles out from the center of Danny. All right, storm surge conditions. Well, they may be as high as 4 to 8 feet. The water may be that far above normal tidal levels, particularly southeast coast of Louisiana, the Mississippi Delta, southern sections of Mississippi, and southern Alabama. Looking at the infrared satellite picture, notice a flare-up in thunderstorm activity around the center, around the eye of Hurricane Danny. Now, Danny has moved over land, but it is very swampy. It's a bayou situation. Because of that, we do expect some weakening, but there may be fluctuations in intensity. And if Danny were to move back out here into the Gulf of Mexico, it could potentially re-intensify, re-strengthen once again. Now, Doppler radar, as we go to that, will show us just where Danny is located. And I hope we're going to get to see that because we can see the, there we go, that's Doppler radar. And here's the eye of Danny, just east of Grand Isle, probably just west of Boothville, just west of Venice, Louisiana, where Kristen Dodd is located. The storm again drifting north-northeast on those weak steering current winds. By the way, we've got the wind, but we're also going to have the rain with Danny, and that could be a tremendous problem over the next few days because of the slow movement. And projections are that right along the track of Danny, anywhere from 10 to 20 inches of rainfall is not out of the question. So we'll keep you up to date. We've got frequent updates all day long for you on Hurricane Danny. Meanwhile, back to the studio.